Welcome back to the show. If you're just joining us now, we have Clint Van Zandt here. He is a FBI profiler and a hostage negotiator. Now, you're retired from the FBI now, and this is interesting to me because you retired, and then you also you have another business now, correct?
Well, multiple businesses. You know, you move on to your next life. We all hope we can. In my case, I retired from the FBI on a Friday night at 5 o'clock. When I got home about 7 o'clock, leaning against the front door was a FedEx package from a private client who said, "I know you're retiring today. I need help. Here's your first case." So when someone says, "How long were you retired?" 2 hours between the time I left the FBI and I started. Most of my clients are Fortune 500 companies. They have maybe an overseas kidnapping, they have an extortion, they have a product tampering, they have a violence in the workplace scenario, they have something that has aberrant human behavior, and they're saying, what does this mean? What should I do about it? But so that's where most of my client work comes from. But again, in the US, I work for NBC and MSNBC television. So I do all of their on-screen analysis as far as criminal behavior. I may be on the Today Show in the US 2-3 times a week, MSNBC, same thing. So I've done probably a little over 3,000 television interviews since I left the FBI. But you know, you're in the media. This is something that is so different. When you're in law enforcement, you spend most of your time running from the media. You know, no comment, no interview. Well, all of a sudden I can't hide behind that. Right. But what this does, it gives me a wonderful chance to talk about the men and women in law enforcement, be it the FBI, US, be it Canadian law enforcement. I mean, these are not men and women in black trying to steal your civil rights. These are men and women who are out there working, trying to protect you every day, and my hat is totally off to them.
How do you keep your faith in humanity when you work in such humongous tragedies all the time?
You know, you have to have faith in something besides yourself, and I think that was the purpose of this prayer breakfast today. What is there beside me that gives me a source of strength? And you know, if you just look into yourself, sometimes you start to see a hollow pit. So you have to find something else. For me, it's been faith, it's been family, it's been the knowledge that I will do the best job I can, and then it's in somebody else's hands. And if we win, we all win. But I realize in my life, if I'm right, I'm right, and if I'm wrong, many times people die.
It's a lot of pressure.
It is, and I have saved lives. I have taken kidnapped children and handed them back to their parents, and I've also attended funerals of people who don't make it through. So it's a responsibility, but look, I mean, I got to be an FBI agent. I got to be Peter Pan. I got to fly. You know, I was on the tip of the spear for a lot of years. I got to do exactly what I wanted to do in life, surrounded by people who loved what they did. I had FBI agents say to me over the years, "Can you imagine we get paid to do this? You know, we would do it for free if we had to do it." So I think there's a sense of service in the military, in law enforcement, in the FBI. I think there's a sense of adventure. I think all of that comes together, you know, in the chapter in the book that we each write that's called Life.
Talk to me a little bit about mental health in your line of work. Now, I must imagine that a lot of hostage situations, or you know, a lot of terrible situations have to do with mental health issues. And I'm not clear on the law in America, but I know in Canada a lot of times they get off on lesser sentences.
Sure.
What is your take on that? And do you think that's right and that should play a role?
Well, in the United States, when we look at people who commit terrible crimes, like around the world, probably 2 to 4% of all of us are sociopaths, we're psychopaths, we're antisocial personalities. You know, we're just evil. We have the capability for evil. No, not all people with that background are actually evil. In fact, you know, some become politicians and are very successful in what they do. But I think the other side of it is that we run into a lot of people with mental health issues, and sometimes, you know, certain mental health diseases, they may say, well, we break these up into those that can be helped and those that can't be helped. And then again, we find people that go off their meds when they should stay on their meds, and then they commit terrible acts, or their behavior becomes very abhorrent to society. And I think those are just the challenges we have. But, you know, you've got to realize many times, like as a hostage negotiator, I may be talking to someone with a mental health problem who believes in one case there was a giant spider in the room that was going to eat everybody. And he was in there holding a gun to the head of somebody, thinking the giant spider was going to come and get him. Well, I couldn't say, forget about it, there's no such thing as a giant spider, because he wouldn't believe me. But what I could do is have him imagine backing that spider into a closet and closing the door. There, the spider can't get you now. He laid down the gun and came out.
I'm sure you have to think outside the box like that really often in your job.
Yeah, you really do. You have to realize that people don't think like you do. You know, people have different motivations that drive them. They have different goals in life. And if you just say, this is it, this is how life is, you're going to be wrong. You're going to miss a lot of things that's going on in life.
Let's quickly talk about your book before we go. It's called Facing Down Evil. What inspired you to write this?
For a number of years, people would say, you have to do a book. I'd go on Larry King on American television, and he'd say, where's your book?
Yeah.
I said, well, I don't have one. Oh, you got to have a book. Everybody's got a book, you know? So I know Tom Clancy, so I called up Tom Clancy, and he said, yeah, you got to do a book. He said, here's the name of my agent. Go tell them, I'm going to tell them you come. So, you know, we put together a book. We also, Facing Down Evil, Life on the Edge as an FBI hostage negotiator, we also give away a free DVD, Protecting Children from Predators. See, not only as an FBI agent did I investigate crimes against children, when I was 7 years old, I was kidnapped by a child predator who carried me away, who was going to do horrible things to me, and I escaped. I realized that most children don't escape situations like that. So we put together a 45-minute DVD, Protecting Children from Predators. It's available on our website for free, which is www.livesecure.org, livesecure.org. We pay for it, and we've given away about 15,000 of these.
Wow.
And our whole premise is, if we can save a child from going through the terrible things that a child does when he or she is taken away by a predator. Realize, again, in the States, the average predator who assaults little boys will commit 150 acts of molestation before he ever comes to the attention of a criminal justice system. What we're trying to do is save children by that DVD.
Well, it's a very noble cause. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Clint. This has been a pleasure.
Good to be with you.
This has been our conversation with Clint Van Zandt. He's a FBI profiler and a hostage negotiator.